Hello? 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 Alright. Okay, quick walkthrough of this Titan. Now I can't remember. Right guys, quick walkthrough of the Titan. Now I can't remember if I've made this with heavy or light armor. But so I've got me armor plates here, which are movable. Because obviously the ankle moves. So these have to be movable. I've got that on a wheel. So it rides up and down this part when the ankle bends. Only problem I've got is the stresses sometimes snap this off. This happens on the rear and the front one. So if it gets too active, it snaps off. And I can't really think of a way to strengthen that. I've added, because it was only 2 hinges, I've added an extra hinge. But it's still flying off at some stage. Not much I can do about that for now anyway. The feet, by suggestion I've added wheels to see if I get any grip, but I can't for the life of us figure out how to put the handbrake on to stop them turning. So I'll have to figure that one out. Hopefully they won't fly off. Alright, so go up here. Got the knee joints. Hold on, we'll start with the ankle joints. There's 2 joints in the ankle. That's all the hinges for that one. And there's one going across for a foot angle for a wide stance. I had that switched off when I first built this because the hinges couldn't take it. That's your knee joint in there. We've got the hip joint in there. And there's also a hip riser and hip angle for when it turns. So that's 3 joints in the hip there. Now the waist is set up. Get some light in your hang fire now. That's my timers. I had this set up as a piston activation for the walking. I had, but it was easier to do with the timers. Now there to help it move forward because I've got no grip. Right, your waist, because it's only on one rotor, I've put these balancers on, so that stops it bouncing off the armour. So then we'll stop it from bouncing, because you can see there's a tiny bit of movement in there, but it won't touch the armour. These wheels stop that, and these turn freely around when the waist turns. M2 are for turning. Left and right turn. And these are for the sensors. So when it's still, them sensors there, when they hit that, because the waist tracks, so when that sensor hits that, it'll perform a left turn, and when that sensor hits that, that'll perform a right turn. And when it's walking, them sensors switch off and these sensors switch on, and that's so that turns these two sensors on. That'll perform a right turn when it's walking. When that activates, it turns all these two sensors off, so you get no repeat activation. And then when it moves back to centre, that sensor switches them two back on. So it's like when the waists track. Let's see if I can get outside here. Damn it. It's hard to explain. Right, so at your waist there. So you've got an enemy over there. That whole section will point that way. Okay. And that'll activate that sensor. But because of movement, so if the enemy moves or something like that, and the tracking moves the waist in between them two sensors and then straight back, as it's in halfway through a turn, it'll activate the turn again, which will absolutely knock all the joints up. So that sensor activates and switches the two turn sensors off, but the center sensor stays on. And when the rod gets back to center, it turns them two sensors back on. That's when it's walking. When it's standing still, similar thing happens. That sensor will switch off if it activates one of these rods, and then after I think it's a 10-second or a 5-second gap, it'll switch back on, because that's how long it takes to turn. And then if it activates again, it'll turn again, but it's just to stop double activations. Down here is my balance mechanism. So it's left, right, forward, back. There's a sensor, so when it hits a sensor, it activates one of the balance. Up. Got one there, I've got one at the back. And I've got one on either side. So that activates the gyro. The gyros are modded to 1,000 times. So I've adjusted the strength of them so it doesn't flip. So that's them. Your waist. Oh, dear me, man, what are you doing? Right, so that's the waist. Got this arm. Now I've added a sensor there to the fist, so if it gets near anything, it closes them and it activates the grinders. It's like a grinder fist. It's not the best, like, but it's such a small field range. Because if I sensor field range, yeah, that's the field range, yes. I mean, basically, the whole arm is automated. So, hopefully what happens is when it gets near a wall or a mech or a ship or something like that, it'll have enough momentum and it'll stay in the field long enough for this to come out. That'll start grinding away on the armour, and then it turns itself off. Had a bit of bother with that. I've had to adjust the angle of this arm a bit. Got it started grinding its own armour off. The wrist turns, that's on automation. It's a strange arm, this, being a Titan. God, it's not set up as you would normally think. That turns that way, this goes upwards. That's the elbow. Same with the other arm, but that's got a dirty big gun on it. It's just a single rifle there. These activate when you get near. So if any ships or something come underneath and this get too close to the gun, they'll start getting ground down. It's all rigged in as well to the cargo. I think anyway. I've set it up so it's rigged in. It's all set through. Whether it works or not, I don't know. Haven't been able to test it properly. That's the arms. There's obviously turrets dotted all over the place. It's mainly the turrets are a bit of a ball ache really, because they keep firing into the armour. It's mainly for like if there's someone below by the feet. I was hoping the turrets would be able to take them. And on the back as well, just to give some reverse protection. But these things are supposed to be protected by shielding as well, but we haven't got that in Space Engineers. You've got these on the top. So what happens is the automation, the gun arm, the elevations on the elbow, and the rotates on the waist. So the waist will turn and the elbow will go up for to aim the gun. But that also puts these into aiming, because these go up and down. And if the waist's turning towards a target, that'll fire them off. That's the head's completely automated as well. That turns itself. That's got tracking on for enemies. There's nothing special about the head. There's nothing. It just lights. I had it rigged up with this armour all the way through, but it was the way the joints are, it was catching, so I've just taken it off. There's turrets, rocket launchers and all sorts on there. They're all rigged up, but that's supposed to be for downward fire. But they keep aiming through this. And it'd be too bulky to put like handmade turrets on, unless I went small grid, I suppose. Inside, them turrets there protect this doorway, and you've got an internal turret there as well. Inside's not very. The cockpit's way up the top, so you've got to go up these dancers. Up the dancers. And then along this tunnel. This is your cockpit. I added, just for authenticity, the pilot. So this pilot's sort of integrated with the machine. It's in like a backed tank sort of setup. We are your screens and that, which seem to be phasing out with the graphics for some reason. That's your pilot in there. He controls all the AI part of it, and then you would have your other pilots controlling bits and bobs as well. Cockpit's a bit scarce. So this control seat, that's your controls so far anyway. So tracking on off, so you can turn all the tracking off to stop it moving around. Start walking, stop walking. That's pretty much all you need, because the rest is automated by the autopilot there. These are the controllers for the arms and the waist nut. They can obviously be controlled. Put the hood on. So you've got, these are me cameras. Can't remember, oh, head, that's a head camera, so when that's automated it just spins around. That's your fist. That's your gun. That's one of the shoulder rockets. I've just got a camera on one of them. That's your arm control for your fist. It's a bit weird because it doesn't control the way you'd think, because this controls the wrist turn in the elbow, but not the shoulder. This is your gun control, which is a bit better, but it only controls the waist and the elbow. Didn't appear to be pulling the waist around very well. I think I've got this on the waist. I'll double check that. That's your controls anyway. So to kick it off walking. The problem I've got at the minute is trying to stop the thing. So that's the banner. Oh Christ, hold on. So stopping, if you think about it, I can't use a sensor to stop this, because 50 meters is nothing. I mean, where would I put the sensor? if I put it there, 50 meters would be like here. So the gun would smash into whatever you're trying to stop. It needs about 100 meters to actually stop because of the strides. It stops in 1 or 2 strides depending on when you press stop. So I can't use a sensor to stop it automatically, which is a bit of a ball ache. So started walking. So what happens is it starts a walk sequence and them 2 thrusters at the back push it forward because it's got no grip, and them wheels aren't worth a toss. I'm not using landing gear because I would have to pause the walk sequence to make sure the landing gear is locked on, and plus with the curvature of the planet it's not locking on all the time, and it slows everything down. So basically this thing's just running on air. There's enough weight to bring it down to hit the ground and bounce it on. The FPS is slow, so it looks slow because of the I'm streaming this as well, but it is a lot quicker than what you're seeing it here. It normally goes at quite a speed. So that's it walking. Now when you stop, I press stop, so if you watch, it stops and then it resets its legs, but when I press stop it was here, so it needs a good few 100 meters to stop, which means a sensor needs to activate about here. In the sensors there's no sensor field range apart from the automated, but the automated only activates something if it's targeted. So if you've got, say, the head as the stop activation, if an enemy is targeting the head it'll stop, but if it's not targeting the head, if it's targeting the arm, that'll just keep walking until it smashes into something. If you've got a wall that hasn't got any guns on, anything like that, it just keeps walking into it because there's nothing targeting it, and I've got no way to stop it in time apart from manually stopping it. So this thing needs a pilot at the moment. Hopefully the new AI stuff will sort that, but that's basically it. I'm still fiddling around with the walking sequence and stuff like that in the automation. I can't remember if I've got the tracking on or not. But at the minute it's about as good as it's going to get, roughly. I can tweak a few things, but I can't make it any better because I can't specify the stop. So I can put timers on to walk for 5 minutes, stop, turn, and then etc. But if in that 5 minutes it comes up to a mountain or a wall, then you're buggered. It's just going to walk straight into it. So nothing much I can do about that. Yet, anyway. But the turning's a bit of a ball ache as well. It snaps the armour off. I can't remember if I've got tracking on or not. Where's my ship? There's Big Red. See all the armour pieces lying around the floor, off the legs, where they flew off, where it's turned a corner too quick, and you're, oh, Big Red's there. Have I got tracking on? Right, let's turn this thing round. So let's turn. So this is your standing still turn. What happens there is when it had the landing gear on, when the the hips went backwards, it pulled it all round. But that doesn't happen because there's no grip. So what I've done, I've got the gyros gently turning the mech as it does its sequence. So you're getting a little turn there. It's about 45 degrees when it's finished. The right turn. You see the hips splay backwards? That used to sling it round, but it doesn't do it on this without grip. But it's got a nice gentle turn there, and it does the same action but without the legs when it's walking, so it just carries on walking. And then the gyros turn the neck. That's where the armor snaps off, because obviously you've got the angle and the stresses of the neck trying to flip over. See if it locks on the big red. So there's a bit of cheating involved to get the thing to move. At the end of the day, these things we're supposed to have anti-gravity technology, which can't be simulated on a planet. So the gyros are sort of simulating the weight reduction. That's how I see it anyway. I've got no way to do an energy shield on it. Not anyone unless there's a mod up there. See if it does a turn. Stop. And watch the armor. This is a bit I have bother with. It generally flies off. You can see it's flapping around like something. It's talking. It's got to move. What's that toe? The toe flips it off. That's decent about the toes. That one's off. Is it, it's not dragging yet, it's leaving it. So when this tool bounces off, it's hidden. And you can't put any more angle on the tool because of the so it's stuck. Just keeps flipping off. That's your safety detach on your hinges. So things like that needs to be strengthened. It's over a kilometre away, so none of the tracking is going to work. Once again, closer and closer. The FPS is pretty tragic. I've still got work to do on this. That's just a walk through what it does so far. It's getting closer. I want to see if it turns. Starting to fall forward a little bit as well with that thruster. Walking sequence itself, the look of it is quite good. The thrusters give just enough power to make it look as if the legs are moving. I would have liked to do it without thrusters, but can't. I'm not putting landing gear back. So that was just ridiculous. Yeah, I can't just try it now. So hopefully that waist will turn now. Yeah, it's starting to turn, so hopefully this will kick off a turn. Yeah, there you go. It's on its way around. That's moving around. As you can see, the stresses on it are pretty bad because it's trying to flip over. All the way its distribution's gone skew with as well because of the way the waist is. Hopefully the balance mechanism brings it back into touch. And the FPS is dying now. That's because it's trying to balance itself up. Slowed right down Oak Road. Absolutely terrible. That's all the work it is. Obviously the Xbox is trying to work everything out it wants to do. It's just killing it. Yeah, you need a lot more memory. Look at that. Right down Oak Road. And you see how fast it was walking. And that's what's streaming as well. It's going down. This is the problem I've got with X. And something's gonna drift there. Don't know what's happened there. That's Clang. Clang's took. I think one of the hips might have dislocated itself. That's when you adjust your random aspects of the game. I'm going to stop it. It's not doing too well. Should reset. Oh, it's turning now. Damn it. See, this is another problem I've got. I've stopped that and it's interfered with the reset because it's gone straight into a turn because where it's looking. So that's a fail-safe I need to stop that. You can't account for every single possibility because you would just have sensors everywhere and it's just not viable. So that's basically buggered the whole thing. Yeah, the legs are reset, but the balance mechanism hasn't kicked in. It's just gone belly up. It's starting to straighten itself now. There's the other one. There's the other one coming off. Now the reason of that is it's because it's loose. You've got things banging on other blocks and causing issues. Whereas in real life that wouldn't be an issue. It would just rattle off, like clang like a door opening and shutting. It wouldn't be any issue, but it's just too much. The game's got to work out all the aspects of what's happening, and it's just dislocating it. But the balance is coming back in there. These fists coming up, so it must be close enough. Why is that locked? And the weapons, when the weapons are actually used, it takes so much money. Still trying to straighten itself out. Now it's going to turn. So it's getting itself reasonably well put back together. But there's a hell of a lot of issues. Fail safes, things like that need to be put in, and I just can't do it. Because you don't know what state the legs are in any particular time. Set off the turn, so I can turn the turn off altogether until say 20 seconds after I stop. That might work. That's a fail safe. So I think I might do that. That looks like it's something's interfering with the balance, I think. It's not straightening itself for some reason. It is, there it is, it's not straightening. So that's what I'm stuck with. It's needs work, but it does a lot more function than what it did have anyway. I don't know what the fists. See, I don't know what's kicked this off because there's nothing in that sensor range. So why is this shut? There's no reason for that to be open because there was nothing in the sensor range. It's strange. Just random occurrences that I can't account for. So we'll leave the stream at that. Hopefully you'll get a glimpse of what I'm up against, what I'm trying to do. I will get there eventually. song in particular. It just keeps popping off. It's not really well. The FPS has gone belly up, I don't know why. But I don't know.